It's now time for your favorite in-depth basketball show, Full Court Press, with the myth, the legend, Raindrops Goulet!
You're listening to Full Court Press with yours truly, myself, Justin Raindrops Goulet. This is episode number 6. A lot of good stuff on the show today, but sadly, this is kind of weird. I don't have an interview. I'm so used to throwing to an interview, talking to some great guests. I will try to get my buddy Andrew Uyeno on. You've heard him early on in the show in Full Court Press. He's one of the hosts of OHL Weekly, so hopefully we could have him on and talk some basketball. And I want to talk some Wrestlemania. I'm bringing some wrestling into Full Court Press. I know it's a basketball show, but it is hosted by myself. It's my show. So guys, you got to deal with it. I can talk about what I want to talk about, and I will be talking about Wrestlemania, which took place on Sunday, April 6th. Now, of course, let's get right into the basketball. March Madness, it's over. It is over. The madness is done, and the University of Connecticut, the Huskies are your national champions. Kudos to UConn. They defeated the Kentucky Wildcats 60-54 on Monday, April 7th. Huge win. 7th place and 8th place teams. I thought it was going to be the Florida Gators versus the Wisconsin Badgers, the 1st and 2nd place teams. But you know, upsets are inevitable in sports. But congratulations to UConn defeating Kentucky 60-54. Shabazz Napier, MVP of the game. He was a beast. 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. And his buddy Ryan Boatwright had 14 points in the victory. A funny thing is, UConn, they never trailed in the game. The Huskies led by as many as 15 points in the first half, and they saw the Wildcats come back, though. The Wildcats cut the deficit to 1 with 8 minutes and 13 seconds left, which is like hours in basketball. That's a crazy amount of time. So much you could do with that amount of time left in a game. But Aaron Harrison, who's been Kentucky's big moment shooter, he's been their clutch. He's been their hot shot Bob, if you will, Robert Horry. He missed a bunch of three-pointers. He was off. And of course, UConn, they kept their composure, and they ended up winning the game and becoming national champions. Congratulations to the UConn Huskies, and congratulations to Kevin Ollie. Coach, former NBA player. He's the coach of the Huskies. I had a lot of fun watching Kevin Ollie play in the NBA when he used to play for the 76ers. Played in the NBA for many years. Congratulations to Coach Ollie for finally getting a championship ring with the UConn Huskies. That's awesome to see. This is their 4th championship for the University of Connecticut. They last won it in 2011. So it's crazy, great to see. Again, congratulations to them. It sucks that the March Madness is over, but we move on to next season, and we look at some of these players. They're going to the big leagues. They're moving up to the NBA. So let's take a look at the draft as it stands today. You can look at the Milwaukee Bucks. They'll probably get the first pick. Milwaukee Bucks and Philadelphia 76ers. They have the 2 worst records in the NBA. So one of them will probably get the first pick. We'll see what happens there. Personally, I'm standing by the fact that I think Jabari Parker will get drafted number 1 overall. He's just too good, and I think he will be going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Then Andrew Wiggins, it won't surprise me if he goes 2nd to the Philadelphia 76ers. Those are the 2 big names playing in college this year. It's going to be interesting to see what happens during the NBA draft in June. Now, speaking of the NBA, the playoffs are so close. The race to the NBA playoffs, it's not over yet. There are some teams in the league that are fighting for a playoff spot. In the Eastern Conference, you got the Atlanta Hawks. They're currently in 8th place. New York Knicks are right behind them. Hawks, as it stands, are 34-42. New York Knicks are 33-45. So the Knicks could overthrow Atlanta and finish 8th in the Eastern Conference and take on the Miami Heat in the first round. Look at the Toronto Raptors. They've got 3rd place. It looks like they got 3rd place locked, but you never know. The Chicago Bulls are right behind them in 4th. Raptors, as it stands, are 45-32. Chicago Bulls are 45-32 as well. They're all tied up, but if the tiebreaker goes, it's a tiebreaker rule. So at the end of the season, say they had the same record, I believe the Toronto Raptors would move on and secure that 3rd place spot over the Chicago Bulls. The Raptors, they have a few games left. They've got 45 wins. I'm right in front of the microphone. As of now, they got 45 wins. They need 47 to tie a franchise record. 48, they got a new franchise record for wins in a season. I'm so proud of this team. It's amazing to see what they've accomplished this year. Now, there are some teams in both conferences, East and West, that are out of playoff contention. In the Eastern Conference, we got the Boston Celtics, the Orlando Magic, the Philadelphia 76ers, and the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Detroit Pistons. Now, Joe Dumars is reportedly going to resign as the president of basketball operations for the Detroit Pistons. Joe Dumars is a basketball legend. The Pistons have struggled all year. We're going to see what he does. If he actually does resign, then they're going to have to find a new person to come in charge, and we'll see what happens next season moving forward with the Detroit Pistons. Now, looking at the Western Conference, the San Antonio Spurs have got first place locked up. They got 60 wins on the season as of now, 60-17. That's huge. Oklahoma City Thunder right behind them with 55-21. Teams that are out of playoff contention in the Western Conference, we got the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, the New Orleans Hornets, the Sacramento Kings, the Utah Jazz, and the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, if you know me, I like to root against Kobe Bryant. I will admit, Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. He's one of the best players on the planet today, but I've always liked to cheer against him. So it's nice to see the Lakers not make the playoffs. As bad as that sounds as a basketball fan, you don't want to see teams fail, but at the end of the day, I kind of want to see the Lakers fail, so this is nice for me. We're moving on to the NBA playoffs. We just got a couple of games left, a few weeks of regular season action, then the playoffs begin. Now, I mentioned the Toronto Raptors earlier. Jonas Valanciunas is in the news right now, but not for good reasons. Now, on Monday, April 7th, Jonas Valanciunas, the early hours, about 2:30 a.m., he was in Wasaga Beach, and he was driving drunk, apparently. He went through a drive-thru at that time, and I guess the attendant at the drive-thru found open beer bottles in his car, reported him, and Jonas was arrested and charged with impaired driving. Now, folks, listeners of Full Court Press, don't drink and drive. It's not cool. Straight up, don't do it. You're going to hurt someone. You could hurt yourself. It's not cool. Hopefully, Jonas learns from this. He's set to go to court on April 22nd during the first round of the playoffs. It's like, Jonas, you got young fans. They're looking up to you. This is just a bad thing for you to do. Don't be a bad influence for them. Plus, you got playoffs to think about. I know this is all about life. Drunk driving, it's not cool. It's not a good thing to do, but you got playoffs. You got to focus on your career right here. You're leading the Toronto Raptors into the playoffs. You need to focus on that. Don't do stupid stuff like drinking and driving. Jonas Valanciunas, if you're listening to this, don't worry. I'm still a fan of yours, but just don't do that again. It's not cool. Now moving off from the NBA into the National Basketball League of Canada. I'm talking about NBA playoffs. Well, the NBL, we're in the finals. We're in the final round of the NBL playoffs. Championship is here. It's the Island Storm versus the Windsor Express. This is big, guys. This is real big. The series is tied 1-1. As I sit in front of the microphone, we're all tied up. I called the Windsor Express going to the finals. I called that they would dethrone the reigning champion London Lightning, and they did. Great matchup. You got an Ontario squad versus a Prince Edward Island squad. Really fun to see. The Windsor Express won game one, 122-100 in Windsor. Second game was in Windsor. And the Island Storm, they just came through with a 104-102 victory. Very close, and it's exciting. This is a great league. As always, I advocate that you check this league out. You give these games a watch. If you could make it to an NBL Canada game, go to it. Fun atmosphere. You can sit right up close, and you don't have to sell an arm and a leg to get a front row ticket. Definitely check it out. A lot of fun. National Basketball League of Canada, and best of luck to the Island Storm and the Windsor Express. Whoever wins the championship, we're going to keep track of that, and we'll see on in a couple of weeks, see who is the champion of the National Basketball League of Canada. Now, speaking of that league, they have revealed the rosters for the All-Star Game. The All-Star Game takes place April 19th, 20th, the whole All-Star weekend in Charlottetown, PEI. I'm excited. I've talked about this on the last episode of Full Court Press, and I hope you guys are excited too. Now let's look at the rosters. Let's bring them up right here. You look at the Atlantic Division. We got guys like Nick O'Corey from the Island Storm, Antonio Ballard from the Island Storm as well, Jason Williams from the Halifax Rainmen, and Anthony Anderson from the St. John Millrats. So you got all these East Coast teams, the Atlantic Division. And in the Central Division, we got guys like Cedric Moody from the Brampton A's, and a good buddy of mine, Cavell Johnson from the Brampton A's as well, is going to the All-Star Game. Alex Johnson, Superman, he's going to the All-Star Game. He plays for the Mississauga Power, and Morgan Lewis from the Mississauga Power as well, going to the All-Star Game. Congratulations to everyone who made it onto the All-Star roster. There are some players, they were nominated for the team, but some of them are playing overseas. We got guys like Trayvon Lathan and Justin Tubbs. And then there's Stanley Robinson from the Moncton Miracles. He was nominated to the team, but he is injured, so he won't be available to play. It's going to be really exciting. You guys can catch all the action online. And if you're in Charlottetown, check it out. A lot of fun basketball. We got a 3-point contest, a dunk contest. The season awards are going to be handed out over that weekend. And, of course, the All-Star Game itself. It's April 19th and 20th in Charlottetown, PEI. This is the NBLC All-Star Weekend. Now, I want to bring it back a little bit to NCAA March Madness. This is a fun fact. I was just clicking on different links and finding things out. Kentucky actually started 5 freshmen in the championship game. The only other team to do that was the Fab Five, of course, Michigan. Jimmy King, Ray Jackson, Juwan Howard, Jalen Rose, and of course, NBA legend Chris Webber. So that's a fun fact right there. Fun full court press fact for you guys. Right now, I teased this earlier in the show. I got my buddy Andrew Uyeno sitting right across from me. Andrew, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm quite well, sir. Thank you for joining me. I want to talk some WrestleMania. I know it's full court press, but like I said earlier in the show, it's hosted by me. This is my show. So
we're talking about whatever I want.
Exactly. We're talking about WrestleMania, big event. We got the Super Bowl. That's probably the biggest sporting event. Then WrestleMania, it comes second. That's for sure. If not more popular than the Super Bowl. Huge. They sold about $11 million in tickets, possibly more. And
the Silver Dome.
There you go. See, there's your wrestling announcer voice. So what did you think of WrestleMania this year?
It's my first WrestleMania. So,
oh yeah?
Yeah, I loved it. I'm gonna say, yeah, it was exciting. It was an experience. I saw it in theaters. So
that's awesome.
It was pretty fun.
I've never done the whole theater route for a WWE pay-per-view. I thought it would be kind of cool.
It's loud.
Though.
People get into it.
I can imagine. It's like you're actually at the live event. So.
Yeah.
Do you watch wrestling, or did you just go with a friend just to it's WrestleMania 30? So
before
why not
that,
watch
the last one I saw was Royal Rumble.
Okay.
So I kind of knew what was leading up.
Okay.
Like I knew that if anybody watches wrestling, I knew that Daniel Bryan had to fight Triple H to get into the triple threat match.
Exactly. The stakes were very high. That was actually the match that kicked off the show. Of course, there was the WrestleMania pre-show, the match that doesn't air on. It airs before the actual start of the WrestleMania event.
Yeah, you don't see that on the pay-per-view.
Exactly. You could watch it, as the WWE commentators would say, you could watch it on the WWE app. Yeah. Countless plugs on Monday Night Raw.
WWE Network.
They just plug that, exactly, WWE Network. But the Usos, they were defending their tag team titles. It was awesome. A solid match. They were going up against Los Matadores, which is just their joke character. They're good wrestlers, but their characters are basically a joke. Ryback and the Real Americans. They defended the title successfully. That makes sense because they just won the tag team titles.
Yeah.
Pretty good kickoff match. Then, of course, there's what you mentioned, Daniel Bryan versus Triple H. That opened the show. That's an amazing curtain jerker for WrestleMania. That's a great match to kick off.
It just built the intensity because his arm was hurt. And so Triple H just pounded on his arm for a good half an hour, and then he ended up winning. And then he went into the final match in WrestleMania, and his arm was still hurt, and they were just pounding on that for another hour, and he ended up winning. So it
just makes it that much better.
Exactly.
And if there are any doubters right here on Full Court Press, yes, we know that it's all predetermined.
What it is?
Yes, Andrew. I sorry to break it to you. Well, also, Santa Claus isn't real. Sorry, buddy.
Lies.
Neither is the Easter Bunny. I apologize, my friend. But we do know it's predetermined. But if you go in knowing that, it makes it that much more enjoyable because then you follow the storylines and see how well everything is written, how everybody acts out their characters. It's a crazy world, the world of wrestling.
I'm not gonna lie, it takes a lot to go into a match knowing you're gonna lose.
I can imagine.
And still putting all your effort out there.
Going out there being all hyped out. You're Randy Orton. You're walking out as the champion. He's walking down to the ring. He's like, yeah, I'm losing the title. He's taking his half-hour walk to the ring because he's walked so slowly to get to the squared circle. And it's a crazy thing. Like I said, it's an amazing world, acting, entertainment. It really is sports entertainment. It combines those two genres, sport and entertainment. It's great to see. So that match was incredible. Daniel Bryan versus Triple H, one of the best opening matches I've seen. Then we talked about this before you sat down here. The Shield versus Kane and the New Age Outlaws. I'm looking at the official runtime of that match. It was as short as I thought it was. It was 3 minutes and 6 seconds. What?
Yeah, my buddy stepped out for a second. He's like, you think I got time? I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be 15 minutes. You got lots of time. Comes back, and it's already the next match.
It's false. Okay. Yeah, you missed this match because it was just the Shield dominating the entire time.
Yeah.
Then after that, we had Antonio Cesaro, or forgive me, Cesaro as he's called now. They dropped the Antonio for some weird reason. Cesaro won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale.
That was pretty intense.
Yeah, it was good. He eliminated the Big Show, which makes sense. It's the Andre the Giant Battle Royale. You have to have the Big Show billed as the world's largest athlete. You got to have him in the final two. Andre the Giant, true legend, the first ever WWE Hall of Famer. They actually created the WWE Hall of Fame for Andre the Giant because after he died in 1993, they inducted him, played a video package on Monday Night Raw one of those nights, and then he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. So it's cool to see Cesaro. This is just the start of his rise. I'm really excited because this guy, he's an absolute beast. You know, there's guys, they portray a character. He doesn't have the most charisma. He's got to work on his mic skills, but he is just an absolute beast in the ring. He could do it all. And after that, we had John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. What do you think of Bray Wyatt? The
Scares me.
Creepy cult leader.
It's more like a creepy Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're probably like the weird cousins of the Duck Dynasty
Exactly.
crew.
That's what I thought when I first saw him at Royal Rumble. But yeah, no, he's really creepy. But I liked how the match went. I thought John Cena had to win.
It was a good one. John Cena was defending his legacy per se.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the live music entrance for Bray Wyatt?
Oh, with the actual band?
Yeah.
And they had like the buzzard masks?
That was kind of
pretty
creepy.
cool.
It was cool. I always like to see.
But it was pretty cool.
I like to see the live performances.
Yeah, Randy Orton had one too.
Yeah, it was Rev Theory. They're the
Yeah.
ones who do his entrance music. Great track. Rev Theory's awesome. So of course, after John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, there was a match that I want to talk about, but I'm going to bring that to the end because this is the biggest shocker in WrestleMania history, possibly in wrestling history. We'll talk about that in a little bit. After the match, John Cena, Bray Wyatt, there was Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. As I said, we'll get to that later. AJ Lee successfully defended her Divas Championship. Congratulations to her. But as of now, Paige is the new Divas Champion because the Raw after Mania, it's always the biggest Raw of the year. Paige defeated AJ Lee to become the new WWE Divas Champion. So congratulations to Paige. There you go. And you mentioned Daniel Bryan. His arm was hurt. So he walks out and he's fighting for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in the main event of the show. Goes the distance, a 20-plus minute match.
It was crazy.
Bam,
Crazy
and then
match.
Daniel Bryan finally captures fair and square the WWE World Heavyweight Championship.
If he didn't, there'd be riots. It was good that he won it.
It wouldn't surprise me because after Arizona was knocked out of March Madness, fans were rioting at the school. They were going crazy because that fan base is so strong, just like it is in wrestling. People would go crazy. I think what Daniel Bryan in that main event is because of fan reactions. He wasn't originally planned to be there.
No, they did it because the fans brought him in. Yeah.
Exactly, because had Batista, I'm not a Batista hater. I actually don't mind the guy, but had Batista won, I wouldn't be surprised if there was riots, especially after Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. So, for those who don't know, Undertaker, he's 21-0 at WrestleMania going into WrestleMania 30, the most legendary figure in pro wrestling history, probably my all-time favorite wrestler, the best gimmick of all time. Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar hits him with 3 F5s, that's Lesnar's finisher, gets the 1, 2, 3, and ends the streak. My jaw dropped. Andrew, did you feel the same way?
No, I think it was a little shocking, but I also think that it should have. It was good the way it happened.
Yeah,
because Undertaker's there. There's no way they were going to let him go undefeated, and I think letting Brock Lesnar win was smart because nobody picked Brock Lesnar to win it. Everyone thought Undertaker was going to take it, and for Undertaker to take out all these superstars and then just Brock Lesnar to come out of nowhere and take it makes sense to me. And now I think that Brock Lesnar is going to be the next big. They're starting to make him huge because he just took out Undertaker.
Exactly, cements Brock Lesnar's legacy, and
Yeah.
it just because he was a huge star back before he played in the NFL. Well, before he attempted to play in the NFL, made the Minnesota Vikings practice squad, was cut. Then, of course, he went on to become one of the biggest UFC fighters of all time.
Yeah.
Had to retire from that. Now he's back into the WWE. I think Brock Lesnar, he's just going to skyrocket from now on. Even if he is a part-time guy, he doesn't show up all the time. I think he's got a very bright future. And with this victory, one day I wouldn't be shocked to see Brock Lesnar in the WWE Hall of Fame. So we'll see what happens there. I was shocked because as a wrestling fan, since I was a little kid, the Undertaker streak is like a holy grail in wrestling. It's something you're not supposed to touch, but I've been reading a lot of articles. It's been a couple of days. And
You've cooled down?
I've cooled down a little bit. It was my jaw dropped. It was shock. Then it was anger. I was feeling all these different emotions.
Yeah.
But I'm fine now. You know what? It's kind of in a way, it's kind of cool that they beat the streak. Like, it actually happened.
It had to end it sometime.
The impossible happened. Exactly.
Yeah, and I think also that it was WrestleMania 30 that it had to end. If it was WrestleMania 29 or WrestleMania 31, I don't think. But since WrestleMania 30 years, they have to have big things happen. And there's always one shocker. And so I thought that's the way it had to go. But
yeah, WrestleMania 30, definitely full of shockers and some of the biggest moments in WrestleMania history in New Orleans, the Superdome. Or as Hulk Hogan called it by accident.
The Silverdome.
The Silverdome. Hogan.
They're making fun of that the whole WrestleMania.
I love Hulk Hogan and his his slip-ups. He's amazing. That was a great way to start the show.
Yeah, it was
Rock,
a very good
Hogan,
way.
Stone Cold. That's how you kick off the show of shows, the grandest stage of them all.
I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought they were going to fight, but
that would be cool. One day.
One day,
Andrew. Well, this the road to WrestleMania 31. We are on that road right now. So
Silicon Valley. That's what it is, right?
Oh yeah, I believe so.
Silicon Valley.
I thought you were talking about the TV show for a second. There's a new HBO show.
I just really love Silicon Valley. No.
Of course you do, Andrew.
It's it's supposed to be in California next year.
Yeah. So WrestleMania 31, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens moving forward after WrestleMania 30. Obviously huge. Andrew, I got to bring it back to basketball. Full Court Press fans, if they're not into wrestling, maybe they've lost interest. I hope not. I hope you start watching wrestling now with our in-depth wrestling talk. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me. Real pleasure as always.
Anytime.
Good sir. Plug OHL Weekly right now, or Twitter. Plug anything you want.
OHL Weekly. It's on every week. You can find us on our Twitter at OHL Weekly, or you can follow me on Twitter at AndrewU92. That's about it.
Awesome, Andrew. Thank you so much.
My MySpace page also there. I have covers of no, I don't have MySpace.
MySpace and like Puzzler, like a site no one's ever heard of.
My MySpace, you can find my Coldplay covers on there.
There you go, everyone. Go check out Andrew's MySpace for his cover of Paradise by Coldplay. Thanks, buddy, for joining me. Real pleasure as always. Okay, before we head things off, I want to shout out to Alonzo Mourning. He's making it to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Alonzo Mourning, one of the best basketball players of all time. He's going to the hall with Mitch Richmond. We were talking about the WWE Hall of Fame. It's fun to talk about wrestling, but like I said, bringing it back to basketball. So we got Alonzo Mourning, Mitch Richmond, NCAA championship winning coaches Nolan Richardson and Gary Williams going to the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Congratulations to them. And thank you all for listening to this episode of Full Court Press. Always a pleasure to talk basketball, and in this episode, wrestling. I love wrestling. If you guys don't watch wrestling, check it out. You get into the characters. A lot of fun stuff going on in the crazy world of sports entertainment. And of course, a lot of great stuff happening in the awesome world of basketball. Keep the basketball movement alive and strong. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you all next week.
You've just been hit with Full Court Press. Courtesy of your host, the man, the myth, the legend, Justin Raindrops Goulet!